Right, so we'll go press the modelling light, and just hang on, fingers are a bit small. So if we press the modelling light, we press the OK button in the middle, the modelling light will come on and off. You can't see it because obviously I'm using video lights, but the modelling light is now coming on and off. If we press the right button, we can now go back to the main menu. If we press the mode button at the bottom, we can go from manual to like stroboscopic mode and back to ITTL again. Whatever you want to call it, whether you're on Canon, Nikon, but on this flash, this is a Nikon version, so it's ITTL. So that's the mode switch. We've got the plus and minus button here, which enables us to turn the flash up and down or use exposure compensation for ETTL. Then we've got the zoom. If we press the zoom button, we can also adjust the zoom on the flash head. So that's the middle wheel complete. I did talk about this quick button here, which takes us to manual and back to ITTL. If we go back to manual, you will see we've also got a sync 1 and a sync 2. These are for how the flash is triggered. It's like a slave mode, I think. One is for ETTL pre-flash and one is for not. So if we go sync 1, oh, we've got sync, which is high speed sync. Sorry, I've got this confused. I've said it wrong. Sync 1 is for the high speed sync on and off. And then we've got the slave 1 and slave 2. That's for the ETTL pre-flash and for a manual flash. But we'll just turn that off for now. We'll press sync. We've got high speed sync enabled. We'll press the TCM button and we're back in ITTL. That's that button. Right, so we've spoke about this button, we've spoke about the wheel in the middle, we've got the test flash button, which is here. We've also got the menu button, which we're going to have a look at in a minute. We'll now move over to this far button, which is the next button that you'd be interested in. So if we press this now once, this now puts the flash into trigger mode, which means that this flash now on top of your camera can trigger other flashes. At the minute, this is classed as the M flash, which is the master. So if we press the M and we select the mode button, hang on, mode button, sorry, press the wrong button. If you select that now, we've turned this flash off. So this could be on camera. We could put a flash on group B and then we could choose the mode. If we press it again, we get ITTL, TTL. If we press it again, we get manual. So this would not fire, I repeat, this would not fire the flash on the camera. It would just fire your off-camera flashes. We will now press this button on the right again, which will now put this into slave mode. We now need this trigger to work this. So if I've now got group A set to a 28th power, well, 1/28th. If you see, I'll adjust it a little bit. Just hang on, I'm trying to do this. I'll adjust it to a 64. If I press the test button, you will now see that this has changed to a 64th power because this trigger is now controlling that flash. Well, this is more looking at the menu, so I'm not going to go into that too much. But what I will say is that it'll just take a quick look at this trigger as well, if we can see it. I'll try and get the same depth of field. You need to have the same channel ID and group for this to work, otherwise it won't work, which we'll talk about in a minute when we actually go into the menu system. So if we press this button again, we'll go back to manual mode and we'll just we'll go back to press it again, press it one more time, and we're back to TTL. So that's pretty much the basic features of the flash. We shall now press the menu button and we'll go and actually have a look at the menu. We'll start off, hang on, sorry about this, let me just go to back to the top. So the top is the way the flash, I'll just check we're still in focus. The top is the way that the flash tells you how far the distance is away, and we can do it in meters and feet. The next setting down is the AF assist. So this is on or off. The next setting down is standby, on or off, pretty self-explanatory to be honest. And this is the RX standby. We've got 30 or 60, that's pretty self-explanatory. Then we've got the channel. Remember when I've just spoke about, let me just try and move this more central. When we spoke about the channel, this is important that you also have, let me just bring this into the equation. This has also got to be on channel 27 also, otherwise your flash will never fire. So you can see we're on 27 now, so that's great. Now if we move down to the ID, this is another thing that gets a lot of people out. You will see that the ID is off. If you turn that ID on, and let's say we put 1, 2, 3, 4, if I do not set an ID on this trigger, which we're not actually talking about this trigger now, but if I don't set the same ID on the trigger, the flash won't fire, even though you've got your channel on 27 and you'll be pressing the test button and it just won't fire because the channel ID is on. Now I leave mine off, but you can actually turn it on if you want. I did actually miss a button here, didn't I? I've missed this scan button here. Sorry about that. I'm going to show you what this does now. This scans for available frequencies. So we'll move over, we'll press the OK button, we'll move down, I'll hit start. So what this is going to do now is going to look for the best available channels to use. I've got it on 27 at the minute. Well, that's just doing that. You'll see we're on firmware version 1.4. So what will happen now when this is finished in a minute, this only happens on the newer flashes. The V1, I'm just tripping over all my lights, and you can see that 27 is actually one of the channels. That's where I've actually got I've got it set to 27. So, but you can set them to any one of those channels you like. Oh God, press the wrong button. So that's the scan feature. You get it on the V1 and the 860 version 3. You do not get it on any other flashes before that. So that's a really good setting to have. I've never really had an issue with it, but if you work with other photographers in a studio or something like that, it'd be very handy. We've just spoke about the channel and the ID because obviously I skipped it. We've got the beep. I always have it on. I like to hear the flash recycle when it's on. We've got the light and how long the light stays on for, and we've got the LCD contrast. And I think that's about it in the menu system. Right, we'll just take a look at the channel IDs and stuff now. Remember when we spoke about it before, and in the menu, I'm now going to just turn it on, because this gets a lot of people, does this. We'll put it to channel 2, and we'll take the menu system off. We're now in slave mode, so it's waiting for this to trigger it. So if I press this test button now, basically it's not going to trigger because I've got the channel ID enabled. This is what happens to a lot of people. They get them both set to channel 27 and it won't work because the ID is not enabled. So if I now press the menu button on the trigger, go to the ID, turn it on, put it to number 2, press OK, press the menu button, press the test. You'll hear now that that's beeping. So now that is working. So remember that. Channel ID is very important. I recommend you turn it off and just use the group unless you're working with loads of other photographers. Then maybe you might have to use a channel ID so that because obviously if there were 3 photographers in the same room, all on group 27, then you would all trigger each other's flashes unless you did use channel IDs. But if you're on your own, it's not really an issue. Thanks for watching. Please comment and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.